Let's head to the Coromandel Peninsula now with producer Sally Round to find out about a day in the life of a rural midwife.
The road from here to Port Jackson is in the list of the world's 100 most dangerous roads.
And that's the road that you
and
travel?
That's the road that I travel quite frequently.
What's it like?
Yeah. Oh, it's windy, it's one way, it's got big drops off one side. In the summer it's challenging, in the winter it can be a bit scary really. You get used to it because it's the sort of roads that I travel all the time, but certainly you often see tourists on Facebook asking, is it safe to go there?
You've got a special siren that you put on your car, don't you?
Yeah, it's a pretty unknown fact actually that a green light on the roof means a midwife or another health professional responding to an emergency. And I didn't use it much when I was urban because you can usually get places pretty quickly, but sometimes I'll use it here just to let people know that I do need to get past, because obviously on not so great roads people are often taking their time and being careful with their driving, but because I know the road a bit better I can often go a bit faster, but it's actually just getting past them can be the challenge. But I've often met a lot of people who say, oh, I didn't know about the green light.
If Sheryl Wright hasn't got the green light on, you'll spot her by her special licence plate, a little frill on a tough but rewarding job. Has anyone given birth in the car?
No, I've managed to avoid anyone having a baby in my car. I've delivered a few babies in a car in my career, but luckily in their car, not mine. I carry everything in my car that you would ever need to have a baby. So I've got a lovely big picnic rug which has had a few babies born on it. I have a full oxygen resuscitation kit and all the other drugs that you carry as a midwife for people who have problems with bleeding or anything. I have quite a big supply of medicines, everything from antibiotics to paracetamol to an asthma inhaler, simply because after hours everything's shut. So if someone develops a urinary tract infection on a Friday night, they either have to drive a long way to the nearest pharmacy or I can give them something to keep them going for the weekend until they can get in and pick up a prescription.
Sheryl is on call 24/7 apart from 10 days a year. And because she's on her own here, she gets an additional 4 days off a month with a locum standing in. She does ante and postnatal visits and births, including those at home.
One thing I found with remote women is they're really appreciative. You know, they are used to the challenges and not always having such easy access to services, so that they are much more appreciative of the fact that they have the ability to have a local midwife. Very resilient, the women of the Coromandel. They're really amazing.
Today, Sheryl's first stop is a clinic in Coromandel town, where clients can find her once a week.
This is the local support services building in Coromandel town. Cool, take
and
a
it's
seat.
all set up for one of your clients to come in.
Yes, I'm expecting a client in a few minutes. She's just popping in for just a check-up on her baby. She was feeling unwell last week and just wants a reassurance visit that everything's okay.
Where do you live, Sheryl?
So I'm really fortunate. I live at beautiful Amodio Bay. That's about 20 minutes north of Coromandel town. So this is the northwestern Coromandel Peninsula. It's the side of the Coromandel that faces towards Auckland, the side that often gets forgotten about. Everyone, when they think of Coromandel, thinks of Pawanui and Whitianga, but we've got quite a population on this side of the peninsula as well.
Yeah, so how many are you covering and how many births would you see a year?
Well, it's always very up and down, really. The area I cover has a pretty good population, but obviously not all of those women will be of childbearing age. But I cover a really large area. I cover from the little village of Manaia, which is about 40 minutes north of Thames, and I go all the way up to Port Jackson, which is an hour and a half north of Coromandel Township. So population-wise, not particularly big, but it is the largest very remote rural area in New Zealand, quite significantly. And areas are graded by how far they are from the nearest big hospital. So we're 3 hours from Waikato Hospital here.
Are you the only midwife covering this area?
I'm the only midwife at the moment covering this area, yes. When I moved here 6 years ago, the Coromandel as a whole had a crisis of only 11 midwives, and post-COVID we went down to 3. I have been working on my own for 6 years now, covering this area. It's an area larger than all of Auckland City, geographically, so the clients are quite spread out. And the caseload, I usually look after between 30 or 40 women a year, which is a typical caseload for a midwife, but typical for an urban midwife maybe. In a rural area, that's a lot of women to look after because it's such a long distance to see everybody, big travelling distances.
Tell me about the economics of working as a midwife here. I mean, why can't they have more midwives?
Well, it's a really nice place to live, so you'd think midwives would want to come here. The challenge is that we have a good population and we have a full caseload of women for me to look after. But the income that comes with that, if that was split between two midwives, that wouldn't be economic. It's barely economic for me as one midwife. So we really would need either the pay to reflect the work we do and to achieve pay equity, which we've been waiting for a long time, or we need a second midwife. If there was more women, there'd be enough work for two midwives, but that's unlikely to happen. There's still enough work for one midwife, but one midwife on her own is very hard to get time off.
Sheryl also attends births at the Thames birthing unit, 1.5 hours from her home. And if there are complications, the mums may need transferring to Waikato Hospital, another 1.5 hours away. And that's where Sheryl's first client of the day is planning to have her second baby.
Oh, hello, here she is. Hi, Nicole, come on in. Welcome.
Hi Nicole, I'm Sally.
Hello, Sally.
I'm from RNZ, Country Life.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hope you don't mind, I've got my microphones on.
That's okay. Yep.
How are you today, Nicole?
Good, thank you. How are you?
You're looking way better than when I saw you last week.
Thank you. I feel better.
You feel better?
Yeah.
So all your symptoms and your cold have disappeared?
Yes.
And you're
yeah.
back at work now?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Good to hear. Cool.
Nicole works in healthcare too, and her husband helps keep power flowing to the Coromandel. They're providing essential services to the area, as well as living here for the space and nature.
So baby's been nice and active and moving plenty?
Yep.
Yes, excellent. Do you notice anything in particular, certain time of the day or any particular area where baby's moving lots?
I thought it was like normally I get more. There's actually a lot higher intake of young families moving to a rural setting like Coromandel, Matarangi and Whitianga, purely because of the lifestyle. So we're getting more hapu mama in at the moment, but only one midwife. So, you work out the math there.
Baby's in a really good position. Got its head down. See if we can find this little heartbeat. There it is. Sounds good.
Yeah. Good, right?
Always nice to hear that, isn't it? What with the heartbeat and all the nice constant movements, it's always really reassuring, isn't it?
Yes, very.
Sheryl says not all pregnant mums are getting antenatal care in the region.
If the barriers are too large, they often just don't have care and they will just present in labour in the hospital. And that's a really big risk for the mum and the baby, and much harder for the staff to provide the care too because they've got no scans, no blood tests, no knowledge of the woman. And sometimes we have unfortunate outcomes when that happens, and that's really sad. But if you've got a woman with, a limited income, no ability to travel, sometimes, she'll have to make hard decisions about where their money goes.
And so you're mostly doing home visits, are you? Or how often are you coming to a clinic like this?
Yes, I do. I offer all women home visits because we don't have any public transport on the Coromandel. So if women don't have access to transport or they have children, it can be quite difficult for them to come into a clinic.
And a home visit is where Sheryl's off to now.
This is my bag, goes everywhere with me. There's a bit of everything, stethoscope, listening to baby equipment, baby weighing equipment, blood pressure kit, and all the things you need to check that mum and baby are well. Handouts, prescription forms, tissues. And in my car I also have a full home birth kit at all times, so I carry all the emergency equipment and everything you need to do a birth, really. So let's hop in the car and we'll go for a drive and meet another one of my lovely clients, Regan, who's had 2 home births with me.
Thank you later, guys. Have a nice afternoon.
This car is well travelled.
It is.
I can see. You must know the roads like the back of your hand.
You do get to know, and you get to go to all sorts of interesting places and down little bits of roads where you wonder where you're going to. Very handy to have a GPS to find places, but there's a lot of my clients who live off-grid. They don't actually have an address, so sometimes you have to follow quite specific instructions to find them. Cross this forward, turn left at this tree.
Do you get many clients who are here for a short time, and that also is a challenge?
Over the summer there's often a lot more phone calls from women who are just in the area on holiday, who have a concern. And to be honest, the paperwork to do the claiming for those, what they call single services, is greater than the actual work. So you often just do that work for love.
It's hard for you to say no, I imagine.
You do. When you get someone ringing you that is upset and concerned and really wants some reassurance, and you have the ability to provide that reassurance, you do feel an obligation to do so, really. I've heard my job described by some people as a non-financial hobby.
So here we are, we've arrived at your next client.
Let's go and see Regan. I'm losing my normal pattern as well. Hi. How are you? Oh, here he is.
Sorry, I'm still in my...
That's okay.
We're just chilling.
It's radio. We don't have to worry about how you look. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
This is Sally.
Come on in.
This is Regan and Pangaro.
Hello. Aren't you beautiful?
Oh, there's smiles. Isn't that gorgeous? There you go. He looks so much like he's grown to look like his sister.
Oh, yeah. He's My name is Regan Kirison. My baby's name is Tiaki Kirison Mariroa.
Tiaki was born at home, like his older sister, who came too quickly for the planned trip to the Thames birthing unit.
We made a decision to have Tiaki at home, and that was the plan all along. But of course he came before Sheryl could make it. And I had him in the same spot on the floor in the lounge at home with my mum, Tiaki's dad, and his auntie. And my mum caught Tiaki, and about 20 minutes later Sheryl turned up.
I think I got about halfway to your house when I got the text saying baby is here. But the road between my house and Regan's house is not one you can go particularly fast on. It's a curvy, windy road. So I was going as fast as I could. But
Yeah, and the service is quite shoddy as well. So you're in and out of service between there and here. My mum was trying to call Sheryl, but it kept cutting out. And by then, Tiaki's head was out, and next thing he was screaming. So it was all just happened really fast. So I was grateful that Sheryl made it in the end, and I was grateful that my mum was there. But yeah, it is very nerve-wracking and very scary, and just knowing that there's actually nothing around here. The closest thing is Thames, and that's like an hour away.
Regan ended up needing some stitches, which is something we can easily do at home, but is a little bit more challenging when you haven't got quite the same setup you might have as in a birth centre. Regan's mum was wonderfully helpful and held the light from my cell phone. And it was a big hot summer's day, and I remember her mum wiped my brow with a tissue and said, "Oh, I've always wanted to do that."
She'd seen it in the movies.
She'd seen it in the movies, yeah.
So you just have to make do with what's around and what you've got.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Being adaptable and resilient are definitely qualities you need as a rural midwife. Being able to think on your feet, being able to adapt and, cope with a variety of situations and locations, different people. We have a really unique population up here of, all sorts of different people from all different walks of life. I learn so much from lots of my clients and get exposed to many things that I had never come across before when I lived more urbanly.
Of course, there were some people telling me, "Oh, shouldn't you go to Thames a week before your due date, or shouldn't you go to Hamilton?" But I'm not comfortable in those places, so I'm not going to go to those places. I was comfortable enough to stay home. You stay there and you trust in your body. You trust in the people around you and you'll be okay. But it is helpful to have things closer.
And what about the aftercare? How important is it to have a midwife close by?
Very important, especially when you're a first-time mum and you don't really know much. And if you don't have a lot of family, which thankfully I have a lot, so I do have a lot of support. But as a first-time mum, you have little random questions, and I'm just very grateful that Sheryl was able to text me or call me back whenever I needed her. She was able to stop in and visit whenever I needed her to as well.
You must know quite a few people in this area. Are some going without midwife care, do you know?
Yes, I do know of some that are going without midwife care. I think simply because they're too shy, or they don't know to get a midwife, or they don't know that they need scans.
And where are they living?
Some people actually live in tents around here. Some people live in cabins. Yeah, it's hard, and I'm actually quite fortunate. I'm one of the fortunate ones. Some people are living in houses, 2-bedroom houses, and there's like 10 of them. And that people just make do with what they can get.
Yeah. Here's Mama.
You're hungry. Do you see a lot more home births working remotely?
Yeah, you do. Well, I've always been supportive of home births, but where we live, it often becomes, for some women it's a choice because that's what they prefer, but often it just becomes the practical decision because of the distances involved, particularly for women who've had a couple of babies. They do tend to get quicker each time. The last thing you want to do when you have a really quick 1 or 2 hour labour is to spend most of that in the car frantically trying to get to the nearest birth centre. That's stressful for everybody involved. So,
and you make some quick decisions, don't you, Sheryl, around that?
Yeah, you have to think on your feet sometimes. Sometimes you think you're doing one thing and then your day turns upside down and you're doing something completely different.
What are some of the stranger places where you have had to quickly nip in and help?
I once had a mum who had a history of fast births, but also had some complications in the past, so was not comfortable with a home birth. So we had a plan that immediately that she knew she was in labour, she would leave immediately for the birth centre. She got most of the way before we realised that there was no way this baby was going to hold on till we got to the birth centre, and we were able to pull aside. It was a busy summer's day, lots of people around, and for some privacy we dashed into the changing room on one of the beach facilities, and that's where baby was born. Well improved now.
Time to hop in the car again to the next appointment.
This is my little seat to sit on because my GP reckoned I had really lots of back problems and sciatica pain, and she just said it was all the driving, just sitting for so long and on the bumpy, crazy roads. So I've learnt that having a nice orthopaedic shaped cushion to sit on makes a difference.
How many hours do you think you spend in the car, Sheryl?
Oh, I would hate to guess. It really changes week by week, but my car really is my office on wheels.
In an emergency, there's always the helicopter, but they can only fly in good weather. After recent storms and cyclones, Sheryl has backup plans and special comms equipment in case power goes down.
I mean, you could leave in the morning to go to a clinic just to see routine antenatal and postnatal visits, but maybe in the middle of the day someone calls in labour. So instead of backtracking to home, you might carry on to the birth centre, and you might be there all night. So you have to think about having some food, some snacks in the car, a change of clothes, and then even thinking about coming home. Sometimes you have to make the decision to stay and sleep before you drive just because you've been awake too many hours, and the Thames Coast road is not the sort of road you want to drive half asleep.
So do you sleep in the car? What do you do?
We'll sometimes sleep at the birth centre if they've got a spare bed, but there have been times I slept in my car. I've got a little blow-up mattress that goes in the back seat. I had a client once see me asleep outside Waikato Hospital in the back of my car, and she thought it was quite funny seeing, she said, "Oh, there's a homeless midwife in her car," knocked on my window. But it's just having those options, really. Like I said, change your clothes, just being prepared at all times, always thinking what might happen in your day.
Where are we heading to now?
So we're going to go and visit Caitlin now. Caitlin's got a brand new baby, her first baby. He's a week and a half old, so we're going to go and check on how things have been for her the last couple of days. Hi. How are you
The couple
going?
are relatively new to the area, away from family, and here for Jack's career opportunities.
This is Sally. Sally from Radio New Zealand. This is Caitlin and Jack.
Hi.
I
Nice to
spotted
meet you.
Jack last night when I was coming home from work walking the baby with the pram, and I was like, is it exercise or is the baby unsettled?
Sheryl says some question why pregnant and new mums choose to be in a remote area with scant provision for care.
I hear that comment quite often. Most people know the Coromandel is a holiday destination, so we need people to live here to run motels, to work in the restaurants, to provide all the services that tourists need. But there's a really strong agriculture and aquaculture. Here we have a lot of families that are employed on the mussel barges, in fishing, farming, and they all provide services to the city. You can't manage without those services up here. They top up what urban people need. And for a lot of people, this is home. It's not just living here for the lifestyle. This is where their whānau have been for many years. It provides them the lifestyle and the living that they need. Babies do often have a bit of a windy spell, 2 weeks to 5 weeks.
Yeah, we do. I think he gets a sore tummy. He makes we can tell when we put him down in the bassinet.
Cheryl listens and reassures, and then reaches into her bag for her mobile weighing kit to see how well baby Louie's growing.
Pop that down. There you go. Little mate. Hey, little man.
How much was his?
How are you? Hey, it was 459. We'll take off the
459.
less the wrap. So he feels heavy. He feels really heavy. It was awesome.
What's the best thing about your job?
Oh, the community, and working with mums. You meet so many amazing people. I love the education side of it, like the chance to impart lots of knowledge to women and see them grow with that knowledge, sort of become empowered and own their journey, and then seeing that lovely transition to being a mum and supporting them through the challenges and the joy of that, really. It's lovely.
He loves being bounced like that.
He's very alert though, right? You can just see, it's like his brain's just whirring.
Since day one.
Sheryl Wright, a rural midwife on the northwestern Coromandel Peninsula. That piece produced by Sally Round. And do check out the story and photos on rnz.co.nz/countrylife.